The world sways. It is the first and last truth of the Sky-River tribe. It is a slow, rhythmic gait, a continental drift measured in heartbeats. Their home, their god, their moving mountain, is an Argentinosaurus they call Homo, the Great Mother, for generations. These Homo Habilis have lived in this strange symbiosis, a new and radical chapter in hominid history written not on cave walls, but on the living, scaly hide of a titan. Their huts of woven cycad fronds and stretched hide are lashed to the beast's ossified dermal scutes. Children, born into the endless, gentle motion, learn to balance before they can walk, their small hands gripping the rough skin as they tend to patches of lichen and hardy moss cultivated in the valleys of Homer's back. This is their unique and precarious version of prehistoric life. The tribe's elders, like Kale, watch the world from the high plateau of Homer's shoulders. From here, they are safe from the snapping jaws of raptor packs and the skulking terror of an Allosaurus. In return for this sanctuary, they are Homer's eyes and ears. They are her parasites and her protectors. They use long, bone-tipped poles to scrape away biting insects the size of a man's fist and cry out warnings when the shadow of a hunting cat's Quetzalcoatlus falls upon them. Ancient humans adapting in a world not meant for them. The slow drum of a heart the size of a hut beats beneath their feet. A constant, reassuring rhythm. They live and die by this rhythm. A covenant between the small and the gargantuan. The rhythm breaks. It is not a stumble, not the familiar lurch of Homo navigating a ravine. The sway becomes a tremor, then a violent, world-minus shaking convulsion. Huts splinter. A water mine is filled tortoise-shell. Their primary reservoir cracks and spills its precious contents down the living mountainside. Cries of panic are swallowed by a sound that tears through the air. Not thunder, but the shriek of tearing mountains. Kale grips a bony ridge, his knuckles white, and peers over the edge of their world. There, at Homer's flank, is the reason. A nightmare of teeth and muscle, a predator born to kill giants, a Giganotosaurus. It is enormous, a monster of impossible scale, its serrated teeth ripping a trench of flesh from Homer's leg. The attacker's hide is the color of dried blood and ancient stone, its eyes burning with a malevolent intelligence that understands leverage and weakness. Homer bellows, a sound of agony that is both a geological event and a cry of pain. The very ground beneath the tribe's feet shudders with it. The Giganotosaurus, relentless, lunges again, its jaw hanging to clamp down on the thickest part of Homer's thigh. The tribe can only watch in horror. Their spears are toothpicks against such a beast. Their courage, a whisper in a hurricane. This is not a hunt. It is an execution. After a final, terrible wrenching of flesh, the predator pulls back, a house-sized slab of meat in its jaws. It stares up at the tiny figures on Homer's back, a look of cold assessment, before turning and retreating into the jungle, leaving behind a silence broken only by the titan's labored, wet breathing. A canyon of flesh has been carved into the flank of their world. The mountain that walks bleeds, and so the Sky-River tribe drowns in the scent of its blood. The bleeding does not stop. A river of life, crimson and thick, flows from Homer's wound, painting the ferns and soil below a stark, terrifying red. The scent is a summons, an invitation to every carnivore for leagues. The tribe works in a silent, frantic ballet. They lower themselves down Homer's side on braided vine ropes, tiny figures against a canvas of scaled flesh. They pack the gash with handfuls of moss and mud and crushed astringent leaves, a desperate act of primitive medicine. It is like trying to plug a waterfall with pebbles. Homer's groans are softer now, deeper, resonating through their very bones, the sound of a world dying. The Giganotosaurus will return. It is not a possibility. It is a promise. It is intelligent. It knows it has delivered a mortal wound and now simply waits for the giant to fall. For the Sky-River tribe, this is not just the death of their host, but the end of their species. There is no other mountain to climb. Kale gathers the strongest hunters and the sharpest minds near Homer's grave. unblinking eye, an orb of ancient amber that watches them with a profound, weary trust. An old hunter, Nako, argues for escape. We take what we can carry, he asks, his voice dry with fear. We go to the caves. We live like rats again. But they all know the truth. On the ground, they are nothing. They would be sorted by raptors before the first dusk. They are a people of the sky, and their sky is falling. It is an aura. A young woman whose hands are stained with the poultice and domer's blood, who speaks the impossible. We do not run, we kill it. The idea is insane. They are small, breakable things. But she points to the chasm minus-like wound, then to the cliff faces of the valley they are in. It is strong, she says, her voice steady. But its strength is on the ground. We are always above it. We must use the height it cannot reach. Her logic is a single, sharp point of light in the overwhelming darkness. An idea begins to form. A desperate piece of engineering born from the crucible of extinction. It is a new application of osteodontocratic technology. A grim evolution in the face of a new predator. The tribe mobilizes. They unearth their most sacred cache. The bones of their ancestors, and the bones of ancient rivals. A massive triceratops skull. Its horns still sharp. Is fractured with stone hammers. The long, straight ribs of a forgotten sauropod, half miners buried near their resting ground, are unearthed and dragged onto Oma's back. For 2 days, the air is filled with the sharp crack of flint on bone, the grating sound of sharpening. They are not making spears. They are making lances the size of small trees. Each one is a community effort. A weapon too heavy for any single hunter to wield. Designed not to be thrown, but to be dropped. They lash heads of sharpened obsidian and massive, keratin US horn fragments to the tips using sinew and sticky resin. They are crafting the teeth of a new predator, themselves. The plan is a whisper, a shared madness. Kale has guided Doma through this valley before. He knows its paths. Ahead lies a narrow passage, a ravine where the cliffs are steep and nearly touch. They will guide Doma, their wounded, walking fortress, to the mouth of that trap. She will be the bait. The scent of her blood is the lure. The hunters, armed with their colossal gravity pikes, will descend to the cliff edges when the Giganotosaurus, blinded by arrogance and hunger, enters the narrow kill zone. They will rain down a forest of bone and stone. It is a plan that relies on the courage of the hunters, the entrance of their dying world, and the predictable savagery of their enemy. As Oma takes her first pained, lurching step towards the ravine, every member of the Sky Minus River tribe understands the choice they have made. They will not die as prey. They will die as hunters, or they will rewrite the rules of survival in this prehistoric world. The wait is a form of torture. Oma stands at the entrance to the ravine, her immense body trembling with pain and exhaustion. Her breathing is a shallow, rasping wind. The hunters of the Sky Minus River tribe are in position, clinging to the cliff faces like insects. Their monstrous bone mounts is braced against ledges. Kale watches from Oma's head, his hand resting on the warm, rough hide above her eye. He can feel the Titan's fear, a deep, primal terror that mirrors his own. He is not just her protector. He is her guide, her confidant in this final, desperate gamble. He whispers to her, meaningless sounds of reassurance that are more for himself than for the colossal being beneath him. The sun beats down, baking the blood-minus soaked earth, raising a coppery haze that makes the air thick and hard to breathe. The world seems to hold its breath. A single pebble, dislodged by a nervous hunter, skitter rests down the cliff. The sound as loud as a thunderclap in the unnatural silence. Then, the silence breaks. It begins with the snap of a colossal tree trunk, followed by a low, guttural roar that is less a sound and more a physical pressure wave. The Giganotosaurus emerges from the tree line. It moves with a terrifying confidence, its massive head swinging from side to side, chased and rear, its eyes, cold and black, fix on Oma. It sees only a meal, A mountain of meat too weak to flee. The predator ignores the cliffs, ignores the tiny specks of hominids clinging to the rock, to the Giganotosaurus. They are not a threat. They are not even part of the equation. This arrogance, this reptilian certainty, is the pivot upon which the tribe's entire plan hinges. It enters the ravine, its powerful legs closing the distance with deceptive speed. Kale gives the signal. It is not a shout, but a sharp, piercing whistle, mimicking a hawk. On the cliffs, the hunters shout. The first volley of lances plummets downward. They are not arrows, they are geometrical events. The massive bone pikes, empowered by gravity, strike the Giganotosaurus' chest, back and flanks. One, a sharpened triceratops horn, punches through the thick hide with a sickening wet crunch. The beast roars, a sound of shock and fury, twisting its body violently, but it is trapped. The ravine is too narrow for it to turn, too constricting for its usual lunging attacks. It can only go forward or back. It chooses forward, charging toward Homo. The second volley falls. This time, Elara ST aims for the legs, a massive sauropod root, its end sharpened to a cruel point, slams into the predator's knee joint. Bone shatters. The Giganotosaurus stumbles, its charge broken, collapsing onto its side with an earth-minus shaking impact. Now the true battle begins. The hunters rappel down the cliffs, their smaller, flint-minus stepped spears ready. This is a level of courage that borders on insanity. A swarm of intelligent ants attacking a fallen god. They scramble over its thrashing body, stabbing at its eyes, its throat, the softer tissue of its underbelly. It is a chaotic, bloody massacre. Moho is caught by a swipe of the beast's giant almond thrown against the ravine wall, his body broken. But for every hunter who falls, two more take his place, their grief channeled into precise, vengeful fury. Finally, Kale, seeing the monster weakened, slides from Homer's head. He carries the heavier spear, a relic tipped with the tooth of a long-dead Tyrannosaurus rex. He scrambles up the beast's heaving flank to its head. The Giganotosaurus snaps its jaws, a final, desperate act of defiance. But its movements are slow, its lifeblood pouring into the dust. Kale finds the soft spot behind its massive skull, where the spine meets the cranium, and with a final, desperate roar of his own, he drives the spear home. The titan shudders, a final, convulsive tremor, and then is still. The silence that follows is absolute. The surviving hunters, caked in blood and dust, stare at the impossible thing they have done. They have killed a force of nature. Their victory is paid for in blood. Their covenant with Homo sealed by the scars they now both share. In the quiet that follows, the Sky-River tribe tends to its wounds, and to the wounds of their world. They harvest the fallen Giganotosaurus, a bounty of meat, hide, and bone that will sustain them for seasons. The great wound in Homer's flank slowly begins to scar over, a permanent, puckered reminder of their shared trial. Their relationship is no longer one of simple convenience. It is a bond forged in the fires of a dinosaur battle, a true symbiosis written in the language of mutual sacrifice. This single act of defiance, this audacious refusal to be mere prey, echoes far beyond the valley. It is a pivotal moment in the undocumented evolution documentary of human consciousness. Here, on the back of a living mountain, the tribe of Homo Habilis proved that intellect, cooperation, and courage could challenge raw, titanic power. They demonstrated that the future of this planet would not be decided by teeth and claws alone, but by the emergent, terrifying power of the thinking mind. Their victory was not just for their tribe, but a silent declaration on behalf of all human ancestors to come. We are here, we are intelligent, and we will not be broken. What future is born from the mind that learns to kill a god? This has been an alternate prehistory survival chronicle. The ice is coming.